oil painting for beginners. Hi, my name is Jason Morgan, welcome into my studio, and on this short video I just wanted to give you a very brief introduction to oil painting, the supplies you need, because people get a little bit uptight and scared with oils. They think it's very complicated, they need lots of different supplies, and to start off you really don't. It can be very cost effective, I think more cost effective than acrylics. The paints are usually a little bit cheaper, they go a bit further as well, so there's nothing to be concerned about when starting out in oils. So the easiest thing for me to do is just list for you and show you all my supplies, why I picked those, and then you've got a great shopping list to just go out, buy the things that you need and nothing more, so you save lots of money and you can get started with oil painting straight away. Okay, so let's have a look at what we need to start with painting. And it's not basically to start with it, this is all I use anyway, other than a couple of other different colours which I would really use for some subjects, such as Prussian blue and cerulean blue. But other than that, this is my kit, this is what I use 99% of the time. So the paint type is called alkyd oil. Okay, now that's the same as normal oils, but it's got an alkyd medium in the tube of paint already mixed into the paint. Now that just means these paints will dry roughly by the next morning. So within 24 hours they're dry enough to put another layer on top of. Okay, now normal oil paints take a varying amount of time to dry. So the more white they've got in there, so like a normal oil paint with titanium white, if you put it on thick, it could take a week, 10 days or something like that before it's dry enough to go over with the second layer. With Griffin alkyd oils, or with any alkyd oils really, that's dry by the next morning, so it's a much quicker painting process. Now the other thing with oils, standard oils, just giving you a bit of background info, is that the browner colours, so the earth tones, dry quicker. So they may actually be dry in standard oils by the next day or two, whereas the whites could take 10 days. So you've got all that confusion. I didn't like that. I like to simplify everything, as those that follow me know, and that's why I use alkyd oils, because they all dry by the next morning. That means I can do many more layers straight off. So the colours I recommend, let me go from left to right. Titanium white, Naples yellow hue. Now that's a good colour because it's in a lot of animal furs where you don't want the stark white, so when you want to lighten a colour you can use that. Winsor yellow, so that's your basic yellow. Cad yellow deep hue and cad orange hue. They're very good for tigers and big cats, you know, like the lions in sunsets and tigers, so they're colours I use very often on those subjects. Winsor red, that's your basic red. Burnt sienna and burnt umber are your great earth tones, the standard earth tones. French ultramarine, that's your basic blue. And lamp black, I'm not afraid to use black, but I don't use it on its own. When you watch my videos you'll see I mix it with other colours and darken them sometimes with it. Okay, so where's all the greens? Well, we've got to learn to mix colours ourselves. We can't go buy in hundreds of colours and look specifically for the ones we want to use. So we've got to have our primary colours in there. We've got our Winsor yellow, we've got our Winsor red, and we've got ultramarine blue. From those colours we can make just about anything. So you need to learn, you know, a bit of colour mixing, or a general red, yellow and blue colour mixing, the primaries to make secondaries and all that type of thing. And I'll do some more videos specifically on that, but I have got videos that show you, and ebooks, how to mix colour more easily. And the thinking process behind it. That's what you need to learn, the thinking process, how to think when you look at a subject, how you're going to make that colour. Okay, so that's your colours, that's your basic set of colours. So if you could buy those, you're pretty much set. Now, you also need a thinning medium, because when they come out these tubes, they're generally too thick. So you want an odourless paint thinner. This one is called Gamsol. That's a very popular one, especially in the United States. You could also use Bob Ross odourless paint thinner. You just want a thinner, odourless thinner, especially for the early layers that you do, you want a bit of a thinner paint, and the painting process I'll cover in, or I have covered in other videos, but this is just the supplies. So you need an odourless thinner. Use this to wash your brushes out as well. They come in largish supply sizes, so you can get like half a litre, and that'll last me months and months and months. Sometimes you want a glaze colour. Glazing a colour is when you thin a colour down and make it translucent or transparent. You can see through it, and you can glaze the colour like putting a stained glass window on top. Once again, I got a video on glazing, but the medium I use is walnut alkyd medium. So it's got walnut oil and alkyd medium in there, so these colours still dry just as fast, but this makes them more transparent. I only use it every now and again, but that's the one I use. If you can't get this, liquid is pretty much as good. So that's those supplies. You want small containers then, with perhaps a little bit of solvent in the bottom of it, so you can just dip your brush in. When you're painting, perhaps you want to thin a colour down. These are all dry, just for example, but you need some glass containers. That's all they are. There's one other paint that I use frequently, and it's an acrylic, and that may surprise you. I'm using acrylics with oils. You can use acrylics underneath oils, but never on top, because they dry faster, much faster than oils, even these alkyd oils. I use these generally just 1 or 2 colours, burnt sienna and burnt umber, to tone the canvas, because I don't work on a white canvas. You'll see that in all my videos on oil painting. I use these acrylics with a bit of water, and I tone the canvas in mid-tone, so it's easier for me to work on. It's easier for me to see the colours. And you can take that to quite a level of degree. If you're an acrylic painter, you can do your whole painting in acrylics. Don't go sealing it or varnishing it. Do it all in acrylics. Then you can put oils on top if you want to. Totally up to you. So I'd only buy 1 or 2 tubes of this, because I just use it to tone the canvas. So burnt sienna or burnt umber acrylic. And these are quite cheap, but you can buy small tubes as well. Let's look at the canvases. Generally, people see that I'm using a canvas that's taped to a board, to a rigid board. So not like this. This is a canvas board. So this one is already stuck down. It's a Loxley canvas. I buy the canvas in rolls because it's cheaper for me. It's already primed, and primed means it's got an acrylic gesso on it. It's sealed the surface, so oils don't sink in. It's already primed. I'd cut it to my size, or a bit larger than my painting size, and use masking tape to stick that to my rigid board. I work upright because it's a more natural way to work, but you can use rigid boards like this, or you can use canvas that's already stretched and mounted, so it's got that flexy feel to it. So any of them is totally up to you. I like a fine weave. Now a weave on a canvas is the roughness of the texture. I like mine quite fine, so I can do more details to it. So moving on to my brushes. Now the types of brushes, the makes of brushes, is not that important in my opinion with oils. With watercolours, you get what you pay for, and you want very good quality brushes because they hold more of the water in them. But with oils, you don't need to go spending hundreds of pounds on a set. Now I've used Rosemary & Co brushes ever since I started painting because they are fantastic quality, they're handmade, and they're an incredibly reasonable price. For the same price as you get all those mass-produced ones, you get a real handcrafted one. So just a few pounds each brush, and I mean just sometimes a couple of pounds, £2 or so each brush. Over on her website, Rosemary & Co, if you search on there for Jason Morgan basic brush set, myself and Rosemary have worked out a small set for you, so it is easy to see the sizes I use frequently. But you don't have to buy from her at all. I don't get any money for selling the brushes. It's just much easier because lots of people ask me about the brushes I use all the time, so it's easier to show a set online that I can take people over to and just say those are the brushes. There's also a basic set there, and there's a master or advanced set that's got even more brushes. But on my basic set I've got a classic long flat number 4 brush there. So these are like hog hair brushes. Okay, I've got the number 1 classic long flat. That's great for doing little fine fur strokes. So these are for larger subjects or areas, that's for smaller areas. For detail I use a rigger brush, and that's a number 2 ivory rigger brush. For small areas and detailing I've got a Rosemary & Co series 301 number 4 synthetic brush, and then for blocking in really large areas I've got a number 7, and that's a series 2045. But you can look at these sizes online and pick whatever you can get in your area. You know, the brushes are, it does depend, you've got to have a decent quality, but you don't have to go spending lots and lots of money. And if you can't get Rosemary & Co brushes, even though she ships worldwide, get what you can near you in your art club or art shop. So move those out the way. The other type of brush you want to put that acrylic down is just a large brush, nothing special at all, but something large that you can go over the whole surface quite quickly. So that's the other brush. Okay, what's this crazy thing over here? This is my palette, and on YouTube I've got a video showing how I make these. It's just basically a cheap glass photo frame, and then I put some masking tape around the edge. As simple as that. Got to be careful with them because they are glass, but you've got the added advantage, you can scrape these colours off if they dry, and they're very easy to clean as well, and they're very, very cheap to buy. So that's why I use one of these. I use the brown behind, so the hardboard behind that comes with it. That acts as my mid-tone, so I can judge the colours much better when I'm working on my mid-tone canvas. So that's simple. That's my basic supplies. So what about this thing? Well, this is called a marl stick. So if you're new to oil painting, you probably have never seen one, don't know what it is. So it's a little bit of wood that I've made this myself, because you can buy these really expensive, but there's no need, because this is just something like a bit of 1.5 inch by a 1/4 inch or something like that wood. Very cheap. And then I've rolled up a t-shirt on the end to give me a bit of padding, and some masking tape here just to attach it to the wood. I use that to steady my hand when I'm brushing. So I'd hold it like that, it rests on the canvas edge or a bit of paint that's not been paint that's dry, rest it away from it, and then it steadies my hand so that I can very easily apply the paint without shaking, wobbling. You see how much more difficult it would be. So that's a marl stick, I make it myself. That's another supply. And also transfer paper. Get these from the art shops. Basically it's graphite on one side. I've got a video using this on YouTube as well, and this is just to transfer your drawing over to the canvas if you don't want to draw straight on the canvas. So that video is there as well. And just probably the only other supply you need is a standard graphite pencil to use with a transfer paper, or if you want to draw straight on there, and perhaps a rule as well if you want to cut canvas or do any measurements. That always comes in handy also. But other than that, I think that's probably it. So there's really not much cost in those. There's not much to purchase, and if you just buy your basic set of colours as well, it's not going to be very expensive. In the UK these are around about £3.50 each, so that's really reasonable. The same size probably in acrylics will probably cost a lot more than that, so it's very reasonable in price. Over on my Patreon art channel, where I can go into more detail on things as well, I'm going to have a PDF file or something on there so you can actually print out a shopping list for yourself. So all of these will be listed on there, and also where to purchase them as well. So hopefully that video is of use to you, and I'll see you all again real soon. If you're looking for more art resources, I've really got you covered. I've got a dedicated tutorial website, that's jasonmorgan.co.uk. Lots of videos on there, ebook tutorials, you name it, it's on that site. I've got a Patreon art channel. So every month I put up brand new videos, and that could be pastel videos, oils, charcoals, they're full-length videos, and there's also photo references with the Easy Trace line art on there. I've got quite a few hundred people supporting me, and that's on Patreon. And also, if you're after even more reference photos, I got a dedicated website just packed with reference photos. I think there's about 900 on there at the moment. So that's wildlifeart-online.com. Now please, with my YouTube channel, new videos coming on here as well. If you can possibly subscribe to the channel, then you're never going to miss out on new videos.